All right. Mbak, so ufarisyon
Yeah.
ibane na uyo.
Oh,
But thank you very much for joining this seventh biannual virtual roadshow. It's the second to the last of this administration. Hopefully it's something that continues after this administration is gone. Let me admit a few people real quick, especially those of you on the West Coast. Mark, thank you for joining. I know it's about 8 something over there. This will be recorded. So if you want to watch it again or you want to share it with people, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So Mark, thanks again for joining. Before we get officially, I would like for us to start in a prayer. I'll ask Madam Diana Afia to do that, please, at this time.
thank you and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you, Lord, for the lives. We thank of everyone that is on this line and those that are coming. Father, we thank you for the wisdom, the knowledge that you've given to the leadership of this great association. We thank you for the love you've put in our hearts, Father God, to continue to do what we pray and hope is good for our community, to unite us and put us together and for progress and growth. Father, as we embark on this roadshow, we pray that you'll come and be in our midst, guide our thoughts and everything that will be discussed. May it be productive. And Father God, help us to be respectful and mindful of each other, and the language we will use will be promising and promoting peace and unity. We thank you and we pray all this in the name of your child, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
But thank you very much, Madam Diana Afia. Thanks for your prayer. Thanks, everyone, for joining once again, especially those of you on the West Coast. For those of you who are new or who will be watching this eventually, we have these roadshows a month before every council meeting. Let me start the, is it? Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry. So again, for those who are not familiar with the concept of the roadshows, it's something we started 3 years ago for 3 main reasons. Number one, officially, we have 2 council meetings and a business meeting. The way information travels these days, we cannot afford to wait until those 3 meetings, which are, I think, every 3 months apart. So we have these roadshows so that we can give you information as it happens. Number 2, in some cases, we always give out information to the council, in particular the chapter presidents, but many of the general members do not get this information. So we decided, in addition to our WhatsApp community group, to reach out to members directly. And like I said, this will be is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can watch it at any time. Number 3, every now and then we have policy and constitutional changes. And one comment we tend to get a lot at our business meetings at convention is, oh, we were not even aware that this was in the works. So by having these roadshows in advance of council meetings where we take certain decisions, again, we want the, the general membership to know what is coming down the pipeline. That way there are no surprises. As I mentioned, we also have the WhatsApp community group. If you want to be a part of that, you need to contact your chapter president, because the chapter presidents are the ones who know their members, those who are active and those who are not. This should not last more than 2 hours. If at any time you have questions, there will be interspersed between the presentation times for question and comments, but if at any time you have any questions, please raise your hand. And if I don't get to it, one of the co-hosts will alert me to that. So today we have 5 items on the agenda: current affairs / calendar of events, convention dynamics. And by that, I mean, we're going to try to explain some aspects of the convention and why things happen the way they are, so that hopefully we have a better appreciation into what goes into these conventions. Sometimes, you go to conventions, so it was well attended, everything is going smoothly, but you don't know what we do behind the scenes to make that happen. The upcoming elections, August 2024, as you all know, presidents have 2 years per term with an option of going for re-election for another 2 years. So this administration was elected in 2020, and August 2024, it will come to a close. And so to that effect, some people have already started campaigning, and we're going to raise a few issues on that. Let me see what's in the chat room. Okay. Okay, so Moran is joining through iPhone. If you can, our co-host, can you change her name accordingly? If you'd like to comment, and even though I know you have your names on here, just for the record, state your name and your chapter so that those who are joining later or watching the recording will be able to know who you are. We're going to talk about the 2024 medical mission and the scholarships. We're also going to talk about the current vocational training and what may be coming down the pipeline. All right. So, like I mentioned, this administration has 10 months to go. And typically when I make this statement, it's not, I guess, not to show appreciation for the privilege of serving. It's just something I like to do to keep me focused that there's limited time, there's still so much to do. And we're going to try to do as much as possible for the good of this association. It also is to let the general membership know, for those who are not aware, that yes, time is running down and then a new administration will be coming up. So if you hear that, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, whatever, just know that's what it means. I'm honored to have served you over the last 3 years and counting. All things must come to an end, and so August 2024 will be that time.
All good things, Mr. President.
All good things. There you go. Yes. All good things. That makes sense. As always, I want to thank all our donors and sponsors. Without you, we would not be where we are, especially this administration. We came in at the height of COVID. There was no convention the year prior, which was the where we get the bulk of our money. And so I had to reach out to individuals, to corporations, to other nonprofit organizations. And as I like to say, other than the medical mission we had last year, where we spent about $30,000 on this scholarship that we just had in September, about $6,000. I've only spent about $500 in association money. So where do we get all the money to do everything else? It's from reaching out to you individuals, corporations, nonprofits to donate to our various causes. And I want to thank each and every one of you for that. Please do not wait till convention to donate. You can do that even as we speak. There are many options. You can text AKISAN to 44321, and then it's going to give you a link. You click it, go and donate. You can go directly to our website, akisan.org. Every time you go to a page, there's a little donate button at the bottom left of your screen. You can click that, donate online. Another thing you can do, is something I've done in various places where I've worked, is you ask if your company offers donation matching. So sometime around, I think it's like September, October, at least in my case, the companies will come out and ask you to donate to your favorite charity. And the good thing about this is that it's always pre-tax. So, and then in many cases, like in my case, they say if you donate up to $300, they will match it, they will double it. So that's something you can take care of. Again, it's pre-tax. It doesn't cost you anything. You donate this money over like certain number of months or weeks. So it's not coming out in bulk. It's just per paycheck. And then they mail that check to the organization of your choice. So if your workplace has this, please take advantage, donate to the association. As I'm sure you can attest, we are doing very great things. We are very transparent, very accountable. Your money will be well spent. Sorry. Another thing you can do, I stand corrected, but I don't think we encourage this in our association, but we should, because many of us have are members of our college alumni organizations, companies, churches, schools. And so generally speaking, when many Americans pass away, part of their assets are donated to those organizations. So why not AKISAN? I ask that you do the same thing as well. There's so much to do, but the funds are severely limited, especially now. So these are some of the ways. I'm sure there are others, but consider donating today. I always tell people, and this is what I do personally, if you say you want to donate, I'm just saying $1,000 in the next 3 months, all you have to do is, if you have to go out to lunch every day, maybe skip a lunch one day. If you like going to Starbucks, for example, every day, skip a coffee every week. And that money will add up over time, and then you donate it to the association. Again, I think you guys can attest to the fact that the money so far has been well spent, and Lord willing, will continue to do that. I also want to thank the engine room of this association, without whom this thing would not work. Council members, so that's the EXCO, BOT Board of Trustees, Council of Chapter President, Legal Counsel, Youth President, Mr. and Ms. AKISAN, Youth Board, all that, the general membership, members through their chapters, and also the committee members. In the last 3 years in particular, various committees have been working full-time to get this thing to work. And by the way, we're all volunteers. We do not get paid, but we sacrifice that time and money, and time is money, to get this thing to work. Some committees meet weekly, some bi-weekly, some as the demand comes. But again, either way, you guys put in the work, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So thank you very much. So the first item on the agenda is the current affairs. This is what either has happened or will be happening down the road. If you go to our website, and then there's a search icon at the top right of the page, you can type in assessment. You'll get 2 pages returned to you. And a co-host, please admit those people who are coming in now. There's going to be the assessment of this administration, going back the last 3 years. And then there's another assessment, which I'll talk about later, which is our vocational training assessments. And this is something that I put on the website because when I first came into office, a lot of people said they would like to donate money or be more involved. It's just that they do not know what we're doing. And it's not like we're not doing things. We are. It's just that we were not doing a good job publicizing that information. So again, I've put this link because this will be uploaded to our website as well. You can click it here directly, or again, go to our website, top right corner, click the search icon, type in assessment, you'll get the 2 pages. And I think I'll put it in the chat room as well. Also, number 2, for those of you who are not aware, I believe a month or 2 ago, the Board of Trustees had convened an emergency council meeting because one of their board members was not performing. And so the person was voted out, unfortunately, and that left us with 8 instead of 9 members. So the Constitution mandates the national president to appoint someone, subject to approval of the council, to fill in those shoes, so that we always have the 9 people, and that the chapters are represented and the association represented well. Because of other, I would not call them issues, but things I had to do, I let the 30 days lapse, but all the same, I did announce to the council the person that I would be appointing. And this person would be serving out the remainder of the other person's term, after which, if they want, they can now go in and contest officially for the office of the BOT. So the person I appointed is Mr. Ibom of AKISAN, Washington, D.C. I've known him for at least 10 years. I know that he's somebody that speaks his mind. He loves the association, both locally and nationally. And I have full faith and confidence in his ability to get the work done. And I know he'll be a great addition to the administration, well, to the association, sorry. So he will be in Miami, where he'll be officially unveiled, and then hopefully he's approved and sworn in, and then he takes up that 9th spot. Number 3, the 2023 AKISAN Scholarship Awards that just ended, it took place the Akwa Ibom side on the 26th of September. I really want to thank all those, in particular the sponsors, those who were at the business meeting at the last convention. We wanted, as an association, to award 2 scholarships each to, 2 scholarships per local government area, so times 31 is 62. And so while I was looking at the number of applications, which was 762 or thereabout, it hit me that it was less than 10%. So I came up with this idea of what I call the 100-student challenge, where I asked members to donate money to sponsor students from their local government area. And I was only expecting 38 people to make it an even 100, but lo and behold, 40 different sponsors donated money to sponsor 111 extra students, for a total, when you add the 62, 173, And then on the award day itself, Madam VP donated for one more student from a local government area for a total of 174. And then the donation money was an additional 6 million. So what the association was going to do originally was 6 million. So plus 6 million, that's 12 million naira. And it was very touching to see, especially those who were sponsored, because they had lost hope. Many of them said they didn't even know where their school fees was going to come from. I did set up a WhatsApp group with all the students. I set up a WhatsApp group with the sponsors. And then I asked the students to send videos of appreciation to their sponsors. Not many have, but I've encouraged them to do that. And I think that added an extra touch. Not to mention the fact that many of these students now have that relationship because I connected them through their phone numbers and the videos to their sponsors. So they're going to follow up with these students, and they really appreciate this. At the United States side, we're going to award $500 each to 10 students. That should be taking place, Lord willing, before or at the council meeting in Miami. So on the US side, what we do is we mail the checks to the respective chapter presidents, and they present it at their next chapter meeting to the winners. Also in Akwa Ibom State, I think it was 30th of September to be specific, we had a graduation ceremony for the 4th and 5th batches of the AKISAN USA Cosmetology Training Program. There were 18 students in all. I was actually leaving Uyo for Abuja that day. The event was at 2 p.m. Nigerian time, and because my flight was at 12, I was there around 10, 11. I met with the students privately, took some pictures, and then I left. I want to thank Biso Yobo of AKISAN Atlanta, who stepped in to represent me in my absence. And this is actually a very good program in the sense that within a month or so of them learning these skills, they already start selling their products. I mean, I have people who have started businesses. I think I've shared recent videos. People who, for example, they say they don't even buy these items anymore in the store. They produce it and sell for themselves. Every time I go home, I always bring back these items and I use them. I'm using the soap from one of the graduates as we speak, and the products are very good. Another thing I try to do with them, because I believe in giving people or teaching people how to fish, not just giving fish, is see how we can bring these products for sale in the United States. And that has at least happened with respect to the natural soaps and lotions and all that. So thank you to all the sponsors who make this happen. Association money does not go into any of these programs. They're all donated by people who sponsor their own beneficiaries. So thank you for that. And again, if you go to our website, type in assessments, and you will see everything that has happened from day one. Another thing I've tried to do is, I have WhatsApp groups for all of these batches of students. And then I ask them after the programs, how they're faring, what are they doing? A few of them do, and I've put their stories on the website as well, because I know one thing we don't do well is follow up or follow through with people that we've sponsored or, benefited in one way or the other. So again, if you go to the website, you will see all that stuff. Currently, the 5th batch of the IT vocational program is taking place. It started, I think, June or July. It's a 6-month program as opposed to the cosmetology, which is 3 months. It should be ending either November or December. And then because, again, this administration ends in August next year, between the scholarships and the other things I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to see how we can end everything, at least for this administration, by June or July, so that, I can wrap up and give a proper handing over to the next administration. Hopefully, the next administration carries out these things because they've been very beneficial to the people, especially back at home in Akwa Ibom State. All right. For those who don't know Mr. Chibon Osoro, that is his picture. I'm sure you may have seen him every now and then, conventions, council meetings, whatever, but that's what he looks like. And again, we look forward to seeing him in tropical Miami, as they like to say. All right. So far, I don't know, are there any questions or comments? Use the raise your hand in the chat room. Asian, could you identify yourself properly, please?
Mr. President, I'm not sure I've ever inappropriately identified myself, so I will.
Sorry about that. I should have known.
I'm just kidding, sir. I'm just kidding. First, I'd like to commend you on your leadership. I also thank you for the announcements and congratulate in advance Mr. Ibom Osoro on his nomination. Mr. President, I just want to comment on two things and maybe you will react. First, on the medical mission that you mentioned.
Yes.
The governor recently made a comment, and I'm yet to see any reaction on the part of AKISAN. I'm just floating this idea. I'm not making any suggestion. All right. Wouldn't be a good idea for AKISAN to partner? I know that E2 development, E2 people have floated their development association, and almost every local government is represented by association which exists as a subgroup of AKISAN, even if they do not participate directly. Wouldn't it be more beneficial to partner, for AKISAN to partner with this association and support their medical mission so that we can have more theaters, more settings for medical mission, rather than this three-pronged approach by AKISAN every year? Because at a point, it was almost politicized regarding the site and location. That's the first comment. The second comment, sir, would be there was a concern about this product. And have you considered setting up an arm or having someone volunteer to handle the quality assurance part so that they can sustain the initiative that you've taken? The last point is convention, sir. As there's been this saying, gossip, that some of the committees do not function when it goes to convention and they fail. So I think that it's time for AKISAN to democratize these committees that handle the convention, to allow chapter presidents to nominate people who are interested in serving, because I've seen that sometimes the president uses his discretion and it goes by said favored people who are there, and other people never have a chance to contribute, to participate in convention committees. Those are my comments, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the last one, which is about the committees, point noted. At least for the last 3 years, I know I've personally tried to spread things out across all the chapters. Yes, it is true that for any given committee, I think there's even an unwritten 80-20 rule where they say 80% of people do 20% of the work. You know, this is volunteer, but not to give excuses for them, you know, but again, your points are noted. With respect to quality control, I can't speak to the cosmetology in particular. The company in Atlanta that gets those products from Uyo, the guy actually tests them for quality, the quantity. In fact, he told me he was dealing with a company, I think in Ghana, before he heard about our program. And if he told them to make the bars of soap 150 grams, they'd make it 140. He actually goes and weighs, because he sells them in Walmart, among other places. And these people do not joke with quality. So he was so happy that when I gave him the person in Uyo, that everything in terms of quality that he wants, at the first trial, the lady did them all. So at least I can speak to the cosmetology stuff. Now, with respect to collaboration, that's one big thing about my administration. I try to partner with different organizations. You know, why repeat? They say, don't repeat yourself. You know, so I think we've partnered with UDA, UBM Development Association, with vocational training. If it to association, whichever, they've done things before, yes, it behooves us to partner up with them instead of dealing with, I'm just saying 100 patients, for example, we could do 1,000. And another thing that I've done is I've reached out to national presidents of Akwa Ibom Association in other countries. And that's the message that I give to them as well. I know America tends to get the bulk of the publicity and the recognition, but I'm saying if AKISAN can do 1,000, then we have communities in 100 countries, we can now treat 100,000. So I'm really big on collaboration. So if you or anyone, your association, it doesn't even have to be Akwa Ibom related. It could be, I don't know, American, Chinese, whatever. You want to partner with us, you know, please go at it. We're all ears. So thank you. Anything else before we go to the next? Okay, so Eka Roberts has changed her name. Thank you. We go to the next topic. And before we do that, I just wanted to mention that there are a few things that we do have for sale. I will be creating a merchandise, or have the webmaster create a merchandise page on our website. All the monies for these items go towards our welfare efforts. And if there's any money left, other endeavors. So the first thing I have here is a lapel pin. I don't know if you guys can see it well. I wear this a lot. I know I gave them out for free during my first year, but now they're on sale. All the items I show are between $10 and $20. If you're not in the Atlanta area, you're not coming to the council meeting in Miami, give us your address when you buy the item and we'll ship it to you for an additional fee. This is the muffler. This was sold and also seen at the last convention. We have the hat for men. The muffler was our response to people saying, you know, what about the women? But this is more unisex. So we have the hat as well. And then last but not least, well, we have this cap which is out of stock right now. If there's a high demand, we'll bring them back. We sold this at the first convention 2021 of this administration. And then we have these wrappers that just came from Nigeria about 2 weeks ago. And the goal is for us to be in unison on cultural night. So these are 6 yards. I think it's veritable Dutch wax. It's $55. Again, to be worn at cultural night, hopefully not just this next year, but in years to come. So again, I have the webmaster put all these on our website so that at any given time you can go to purchase them. Again, all the monies go straight to the administration or the association, and then all the monies we raise go towards our efforts. So with that, we'll go to the next item, calendar of major events. The first major one is our first National Council meeting in Miami, taking place Saturday, November 18th. If you go to our website, and Dr. Roberts, the chapter president, has done a good job publicizing this event. There's a 10% discount if you fly Delta from anywhere in the country to Miami. The hotels, make sure you book them now, as well as get your flights, because as she likes to put it, there are a lot of snowbirds that will fly down south very soon, especially as we get close to Thanksgiving. So get your tickets, get your rooms today. March next year, March 9th specifically, we're going to have the 8th and final virtual roadshow of this administration. Again, if you are joining now and are not familiar with these things, they happen a month before a council meeting. So again, we disseminate information about the association and talk directly to the members. And then second National Council meeting, the last one before convention, will be hosted by AKISAN New York chapter. It'll be in April. The date has not been set, or maybe it has, but we're focusing on Miami right now. After the Miami Council meeting, we will definitely start posting information about New York. And I'm glad to be going back to New York. I believe the last time I did that was 1998 convention at the Hotel Philadelphia. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to do another round of scholarship awards, May, June of next year. Medical mission, and I put that in quotes because it's not going to be the traditional medical mission, and there'll be more on that down the road. May, June as well, and then national convention / national presidential elections in August. I promise you that no later than November of this year, the venue for the next convention will be announced, so we have enough time to plan, at least from a financial point of view. So those are the calendar, at least the main ones. I'm sure there are other things happening, especially at the chapter level, but as far as the national is concerned, those are the items that we're going to have down the road. Any questions about any of those events? If not, we'll go to the vocational training part of the roadshow. So again, I want to thank all the sponsors. The idea came to me when I was running for office about 3 years ago, that we need to start empowering people, especially back in Akwa Ibom State. If you're like me, every now and then you get those phone calls, give me money for this or that, which, you're free to do that. I'm not discouraging, but I'm saying if you can empower them with something they could use to fend for themselves, those calls will hopefully reduce over time. And especially with respect to the cosmetology program, a lot of the sponsors can attest to this. Like I mentioned earlier, if you type in assessment on our website, you will get 2 pages. One is for the administration as a whole, and one is for the various vocational training programs. And you'll get to see what has been accomplished over the last 3 years. And these pages are updated very frequently. In fact, I think it was updated, last week. That was the most recent update. We're going to continue with ongoing programs. Like I said, everything should be wrapping up between May and June of next year so that we can just have something to hand over to the next administration. We don't have to worry about things overlapping. And then hopefully the other administration and the ones after that choose to continue because these things are very helpful. At the November council meeting, or well, after that, sorry, I'll be introducing 2 more. And these will be between 3 and 6 month programs beginning in January. There are things that people have actually asked me to look at, but I just had too many things on my plate. Unfortunately, over 3 years, I forgot about it, but I think these are necessary as well. So fashion design, and then also hat making. So these are the hats that the ladies like to wear at various events. Typically what we do is I don't just appoint these people. Whoever is interested will come and talk to us through Zoom. These sessions are recorded. You ask them any questions you want because at the end of the day, it's your money that you're going to be spending to send your people to these schools. You can also have people back at home go and investigate these places on your own, which people have and have reported back. If you're comfortable enough, we proceed. I don't appoint any of these people per se. Like I said, everyone comes, talks to us. You're comfortable with them, check them out, you're good, and we go. But so far, I think, again, we can all agree that it's been good so far. And don't get me wrong, we've also had agribusiness training. The feedback for that wasn't too good. So
good morning.
And also
I thought you followed the...
Also, we had, what was it, culinary arts. So we had 2 students graduate from there. Yes, they ended up, I think, going to Lagos, and they're now chefs at different hotels. But I'm saying the feedback, it wasn't enough people to justify the amount, so we had to discontinue. Our main ones now are the cosmetology and the IT vocational training. But again, January, we'll introduce these other 2, see how it goes, and evaluate as we always do. Any questions about the vocational training, either ongoing or upcoming? If not, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is the 2024 medical mission. And again, I put this in quotes because it's not what I call the typical medical mission where we go for a week. We pick, 3 places, 1 per senatorial district, and then after a week, we're gone. What I'm about to describe is based on my experience that I had when I accompanied a Akwa Association to a visit they made to St. Luke's Hospital in Akwa back in May. And they happened to stumble upon a patient who could not leave the hospital. I didn't know this. I mean, I guess I'm naive in that area, but the person could not leave the hospital because they could not pay the bills. But then the more they stay, they're still being charged for those same bills. So it's like a double punishment, if you will. And that it was very touching because these things were for like very basic, what do you call it? Basic conditions, nothing major. So I said this year, I guess next year, we're going to have a mission where, I've talked to a couple of people who are willing to donate. We're not going to use association money for this. It's going to be strictly donations from the outside. And so we're going to go to as many hospitals and or primary healthcare centers. I'll let the health committee decide that, and then pay off the bills of the poorest of the patients.
I'm back. I am so not comfortable with that car. It makes so much.
Okay, sorry, I've muted that. Yeah, so as many as we can, we will do, and it will be all over the state, irrespective of the senatorial district. I also think that another thing that would prevent many people from going to the hospitals in the first place is preventive medicine. And I would like to thank Ibom Global Healthcare Initiative, who recently donated 50 blood pressure monitors to the association. So that gave me another idea. Why not go around to these hospitals and give out this equipment to the actual patients, not the hospital, but the patients. And of course, we need to teach them and train them on how to use these items. So to that effect, if you have, access to companies or you yourself to these monitors, whether it's blood glucose, whatever it might be, contact me, send them to me now so I can have them shipped in advance of these medical missions. Again, this equipment will be given directly to the patients, not the hospitals or the doctors. But then, like I said, we'll also be paying off the medical bills of, of course, subject to the donations that we get of as many patients as possible. And the health committee will meet and come up with the modalities for that, and those will be communicated over time. Having said that, if you want to start now to make those donations, you can text Medical 2024 to 44321, or you can call me and I'll send you the link directly. It's also on our website. But again, don't wait till the last minute, so you can start donating now. And then we'll see how it goes. If it's something that's very successful, very popular, we can, we can continue that in the future. But yeah, hold on a second. So I said, let's do something different, see how it goes, and then, improve for the future. Any questions so far on any of the vocational training items? And again, at any time, you can raise your hand. If I miss you, we have co-hosts who will alert me. Dr. Akwa, you have a question?
Mr. President, considering,
yes,
considering what you have just said concerning the bill pay, my suggestion will be, this year is almost ending. December, a lot of our people normally go home.
Yes.
So I would think you could declare this year, December, International Month of Medical Relief by AKISAN. I'm saying that a lot of us that goes home, what you just said, personally, I am totally moved by that. Not that I'm not moved by all other stuff that you said, but that payment of medical bill with the situation with the money, the naira and equivalent to dollar now, I believe some of the folks that will be going home this year, by declaring this year International Year of Medical Relief by AKISAN, December, most of us that goes home, we can go to some of these hospitals and just personally, I just need to know the name, 3 or 4 names of the hospital, and then we can send the report back to you. It would look good in our website, in addition to what has been done. But that is like holding somebody hostage. That is mini holding somebody hostage. You go to the hospital, they do what they need to do, keep you for 2 days, and they cannot let you out, and they can keep you for another month. That is really hostage by trick. So if we can step in, and many people, we can do that, and I think we can to echo that very, very much. Let me stop there, and you can chew on that. But I believe you could start this year to end this year with a bang, including the scholarship. That could be something that could be wow. I think most of us here, I know for sure, going to bury my brother in December. I'm going to Nigeria. That is nothing. My junior brother passed away a month ago. So I'm going to Nigeria, and I would love to go to the hospital and hopefully help out on that end.
Thank you, sir. And I really appreciate your comments. And it underscores a bigger point that I will be bringing up again, but it was part of this discussion. And that is the issue of what I call leadership without title. There are over at least 3,000-4,000 of us maybe in this association, but only a few get privileged to serve in certain positions. Having said that, we should be able to lead without having that title. So like you said, if you're going home, let's see what you can do in the name of AKISAN. Many times I go home, I go on a personal level, but I still use my personal time to promote the organization. So that's a very good suggestion. I will give that comment to Dr. Catherine Teckham. I think I saw her on here, but I'll discuss with her at a more micro level, and then we get back to you. But again, yes, that's a very wonderful comment. Thank you. Another thing I wanted to add was menstrual pads. I think, I know it's still early. Some people might be eating. I don't want to discuss anyone, but I think you know where I'm about to go there. A lot of young women at home go without menstrual pads, and yeah, it's very sad to see. Usaranwa has her hand up.
Yes, Mr. President. Good afternoon.
Yes.
And on the topic of the vocational training.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Do we ever consider the electrician and mechanics and welders and all those stuff that can easily give these people something to be able to stand on their own by themselves? Have we ever thought about all those? Whatever we are having now is very, very good. They are helpful. But have you considered something like electrician and mechanic and welding and all those stuff?
Yes, very good question. So the short answer is yes. Plumbing, carpentry, electrician, what I like to call anything that is involved in house building, for example, right? Handyman work, as we call it here. Very lucrative here. I'm sure the same thing in Nigeria. The problem, quote unquote, I had was that none of them was less than 2 years. Yes, I think as an association, and this is something perhaps the next administrations after that should consider in terms of like a multi-year strategic plan. That way, even if person A is out of office, person B is obligated to continue. But again, because of how at least my administration has been, I've focused on short-term vocational training. But yeah, I have considered those longer-term electrician because it involves training, it involves apprenticeship, and then it involves, I guess, internship, if you will, before they actually go out on their own. The issue was that it's like between 2 and 3 years. And, you know, I wanted something that, like I said, I could easily wrap up by the time I leave. But yes, future administration should strongly consider those goals because it will add to what we're doing right now.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we will go to the next topic. Let me see what that is. The scholarship awards. So, as I had mentioned earlier, we had a very good award ceremony in Akwa Ibom State. Again, for those who won in America, the 10 students, beginning no later than, hopefully before the council meeting, those checks will be mailed to the respective chapters. But on the Akwa Ibom side, because of the feedback between the sponsors and also the students, I didn't want to do another scholarship award, but I think it is very necessary. This time we had 100 student challenge. Let's make it 500. Let's make it 1,000. I mean, I know it is possible. The feedback has been so positive. So I did speak with the chair of the education committee yesterday. She is on board. She will convene a meeting of her members. And then, you know, you should be hearing something maybe around November. We'll open the application process. By, I think, February, March, the applications will end, and then they'll pick the people, and then we go from there. Again, don't wait till that time to want to sponsor somebody. 2024 scholars to 44321, or you can go directly to our website. All that information is on there. Of course, we're not just going to give it to anybody. It's going to go through the process. This last one we had, it was based on your GPA, transcript, and essay you had to write, and what was it? I think a letter of recommendation from one of your faculty members. So again, I want to thank all the sponsors who contributed to that 100-student challenge. It was very touching, especially the videos. I hope we can do something even bigger next time for a change. Usaranwa has her hand up again. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. President, for the scholarship, can those students that won last year, I know it's a one-time award, can they reapply if they are still in school?
Yes, I don't see why not. I think going through the applications, I saw people who won last year who also applied for this year. So I don't see that as a problem.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other questions about scholarships?
I do, Mr. President, Diana Fia from Los Angeles Community Chapter.
Yes.
I have a question.
And
okay, after Lady Diana, please.
Thank you, sir. I want to commend you for all that you've done. So proud of you. And but I have a question about how we can keep track of at least the progress that the scholarship people, those awardees, have made. I was so amazed when you and your team visited the burnt victim in Rio. It so happened that the doctor, the attending physician, was a beneficiary of this same scholarship. So it would be really awesome if we can keep track of those kind of people to say, this is what AKISAN have been doing all these years. Is that something you've thought about?
Yes, so yeah, short answer is yes, not only for this, but like the vocational training programs. Like I said, I've created WhatsApp groups of the different things, including the scholarship. And the aim is to always be in touch with these students. Now, at a micro level, like I said, I had, with respect to the scholarships, the sponsors have, for those who want, I've given them the students' phone numbers. I've had them make some short videos so that they can share with their sponsors. That way, they're always keeping in touch, not only at the association level, but also at the individual level. But yeah, how do we gauge how well we're doing if we do not follow up with these students, right? The doctor you mentioned, it was a total, I guess, happenstance, but I'm happy that we met him because he got scholarship from us 10 years ago. And now he's the owner of a medical healthcare facility in Akwa Ibom State. So yes, we want to hear the stories. If you happen to bump, you and others on this presentation happen to bump into other of such students or even students of our vocational training programs, please let us know so we can put it on the website, share it on social media. So it's a motivation for, others as well.
Yes, because for me, it really goes to prove what we've been doing makes sense and it works. When people say, oh, AKISAN make money and we don't do anything. Yes, things are happening. People are benefiting in myriad of ways. So thank you for what you do and for the next people coming in, what they will do. Thank you, AKISAN.
Thank you, Madam. Anyone else before we go into... Oh, I'm sorry, there was another person. Who is that, please?
Anekan, I'm calling from Tampa chapter.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I want to say something about the scholarship. Yeah,
yes.
I mean, a lot of people have said so many good things about the scholarship. But I wanted to say that since it's a one-time thing, whoever has received a scholarship, maybe last year or has received a scholarship previously, should not have another chance to receive it again in order that we can reach out to many people. Scholarship is scholarship. Once it has been given to maybe one person, that person should not have the opportunity of coming back again.
Okay, I appreciate your comments. I disagree, but respectfully, but I'm saying I'll hand it over to the committee and they will make that decision in the interest of the association. I will say this though, and granted it's a widespread. Last year, we only had 65 applications. This year we had 762. And when I looked at the list, it was only like 3 people from the last set who had applied. I'm not saying they will not apply again, especially given the number this time. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they applied again, but I will leave that discretion to members of the committee to decide. Anyone else before we go to the next topic? If not, let's do that. All right. So the next agenda item is the upcoming presidential.
Hello.
Yes, who is that, please?
Mr. President, this is Mfonumo, Washington.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Just like our women's chair congratulated you. We're very, very appreciative of all the things that you've been doing. And I'm just following up on what she said. Those people that are given the scholarship, can we make it mandatory that they will sign a form that they will come back to us to tell us how beneficial it was, and where they are? That kind of encouragement to people that are contributing to the scholarship.
Well, I can let the committee know that. I don't know how well that would work, but yeah, we can discuss that at the committee level and go from there. Bottom line, like I said, I have WhatsApp group for all these, like this set in particular, I have from the last year. And we do have some very interesting conversations on there. For example, whenever they give AKISAN or the sponsors praise, I always direct them to their sponsors, right? So that both parties know who they are. But I do intend to follow up with them. Hopefully the sponsors do the same thing, and the committee does so as well. The good thing is we have records now. We have records that will be passed on to future administration so they can do that. Mr. Demandi, Washington, D.C.
Yes, Mr. President, good morning, and well done on all the things that you are doing for AKISAN. I want to get back to the question that was raised by one person before the last, about people that have benefited, being barred from, applying for future scholarship. And you said you want to take that to the committee.
Yes.
I would think that that's a policy matter that the association should decide, maybe at the council level, at the ESCO level, unless you are saying that the committee would advise. I don't think that is a matter that should be left to the committee. It's a policy matter. I think the association needs to look at the need for people that have benefited to reapply. I wouldn't disagree with it personally, because if a student is struggling in year one, there's a good chance he might still be struggling in the second or third year of his or her schooling. But it's a policy matter, and I'm suggesting that the decision be made by the association rather than leave it to the committee. That's all I have to comment on.
Thank you, and that makes sense. I can, let me correct myself. Yeah, the committee always comes up with recommendations, and then the council will then vote on those things at council meetings and our business meetings. So thank you. All right, we have two more comments. Usara Noah, Jacksonville, and Mr. Cletus Udo, Katy, Texas, in that order.
Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity again.
Yes.
In terms of following up with the students on the progress, should we let the recipients know that if you are lucky to be one of the recipients, it is incumbent upon you to follow up on your progress and let your sponsor know that this is what is in a way of appreciation. Yes, thank you for what you did to me. This is the reward. This is what I've been able to do. Instead of the donors chasing after to find out and try and find out what they have done, are they progressing or not? So it should be put on the recipients to let your donors know, this is where I am. I'm in this school. This is what I'm studying, and this is the progress. That's my suggestion.
Yes, so that makes perfect sense. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a WhatsApp group with all the students, and I have told them that. So just like I said, for example, make videos and send to your sponsors. Not all of them have done that, but I have told them, yes, that they should let us know how they're doing. I even gave them the example of that doctor who got scholarship 10 years ago. And they were very happy to see that at least there's one person they can identify with. So yes, I will do that, and hopefully they will all comply. Mr. Cletus Udo.
Thank you so much, my honorable president. I cannot but join in line in expressing appreciation for your leadership, for the different levels of skill set that you have introduced and vision that you have led the organization over the past 3 years. I have just a few to add to what others have already shared, particularly Edemandi's comment about us building a policy around our processes. We've mentioned quite a few processes that you have so skillfully introduced to be part of our operation as an organization, the cosmetology school, and all the other things that we are doing. If it is possible for us to have some structure in place that will assist us to make sure that there is continuity in these processes, so that at the end of your administration, as you said earlier on, that you hope that the next administration will follow up on these things, that we have a trail of documentation that will assist the next administration to be able to step up and continue from where you would stop. But with particular reference to the scholarship, I think in line with what Edemandi has already mentioned, it is important that we have an identified scope of our operation when it comes to that scholarship. What do we want? What is it for? I don't know if we have to discuss that at the council level to identify that, or if we need to be able to turn that on to the committee that is responsible to work on that as the assigned duty as per what the scholarship that we as an organization have stepped into is intended to achieve. Because it is the definition of that that will help us to know who should and who should not again. And if that has not been clearly articulated, it's not going to be very, very helpful. So if it is the council that is going to make that decision to be able to say, okay, why are we giving out this scholarship? Is it for those who just want to get into college? Or are we putting a vision in place that will help us as an organization identify the next generation of skills for Akwa Ibom, and then nurture that skill to fruition to a point where they will be able to come out and be meaningful in our society? So those details should be articulated in the policy guideline for each of our projects.
Thank you, and very good comments. Yeah, with respect to the first thing that you said, and it's something I'm going to bring up very soon. Not only the next national president, but I'd say the next 10 national presidents, we need to start now, grill them, know where they stand. Don't just do it because, I don't know, Itoro did it, but because it's a good thing. If you want to switch out processes, whatever, right? But when they say they're going to do something, hold their feet to the fire when they're actually in office to make sure that they do. One thing that I saw coming in was it seemed when one president left, another president would not want to continue the predecessors for one reason or the other. And if those projects made sense, emphasis on if it made sense, then why not? So, but yeah, there's a member of the education committee specifically, and he's going to say something shortly, who is listening, and I'm sure he'll take it back to the committee for further discussion. So, Mr. Michael Etam.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, good morning to those listening in the Pacific side and those on the Eastern side. I wanted to make a comment on some of the things that I've heard. In relation to the scholarship, I want everybody to be aware that AKISAN scholarship has come a long way. And this is one of the biggest scholarships that we've actually presented that has been very, very transparent. And the committee itself, the work they've done or the work we have done has been very, very elaborate. And when I say elaborate, I mean we go through every individual's document and application that they present. It's not a matter of, oh, we know this person or we don't know this person. No. If you don't meet the criteria, then that's automatically removes you from the list. And one of the other things that we also work with was to say we want to encourage our students to work hard for what they're getting. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm having financial difficulties, but then if you're having financial difficulties and you're not putting in the work, why reward you for it? There's no point in rewarding you for something you're not working hard for. But if you're working hard for it and you're putting in the work, your grade is good, then that's a way of saying we want to encourage you to continue to work harder and we'll see you through. Now, in respect to someone who said that we shouldn't give it to someone who has already received it before, the whole point is not to say one person received it this year, the other person receive it next year. No, the whole point is to say every year you have to apply with a new grade. And for you to continue to submit that grade to say, hey, I did very well. It's a way for us to also know that you want to keep getting that scholarship and you want to keep working hard towards receiving that scholarship. That's the point of doing that. And I do agree also that the committee will work in putting new policy in place, but with the guidance of the National Secretariat. But for us to get to that point, we have to discuss and have a few discussions, maybe in the council meeting or maybe in the national level. That will be something that needs to be done. But at this point, we've come a long way. And what we've actually achieved is more than anybody can say we could ever do. On the part of those who receive as a sponsor, first of all, let me start with this. Like the president said, there was 760 something plus, or close to 800, I would say, that applied. But we only had to get 62 students out of that, almost 800. But when the committee saw that the students were exceptionally good, the grade was good, the chair lady and myself decided we can't just give 60 people or 62 people. We want to do more. So we said we're going to pick people who we saw their GPA was good, their hard work was exceptional. We picked. Then we went to the council meeting at the convention. We threw it out there for people and said, listen, our kids they're very good, they're very educational, and they want to prove it. If people can pick it, let them pick it. And they did. And we went from 60 students to almost what? 1,000? No, not 1,000, about 173, right, Mr. President? I think that's what it was. 173. So we gave that because we wanted the students to know that we see them. We understand that they are working towards that. I saw students left a message and said, oh, this is to show that AKISAN is not a scam. I was shocked when he got his money. He said, oh, we received this money to let everybody know that AKISAN is not a scam. That's not something we want to hear. But we want to show that whatever we do, we're encouraging our students. So maybe one of the things that the council or the committee is going to add is to say any students that receive this, it's not an undertaking as much as if you want to keep receiving this, you have to keep working hard and you have to keep putting the work in. 1 year you might get it, but if you don't have the right GPA the next year, so be it, you might not get it. That's how it works. Some of us go to school in this country, in America, where for you to maintain your scholarship, you have to maintain a certain GPA. Without that maintenance, you'll be cut off. Those who play sports, if you don't play sports anymore, the full scholarship ride that you get will be cut off. Same thing. But in our situation, we want you to keep applying to say, yes, I'm applying to keep my grade up and to also keep my scholarship. That's it. So I've heard everything. I will pass it on to the committee and I'll let the committee know that they are also being recognized for all the work they've done. I thank everybody for the good comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Etam. Yes, I'm glad that you're on as well. So I spoke with Dr. Odong with the chair yesterday, but convey these additional comments to the committee so we can discuss. So thanks for all the hard work. I can only imagine what it took for, I think, 9 people to go through 800 or 760 applications. So thank you once again. Let me see. All right, so we're going to go to the next topic. Where is it? Which is the upcoming national presidential elections. The Constitution allows till, I believe, March 15th or the 31st for people, or well, the chapters to indicate interest. But for now, we have 3 individuals: Emmanuel Akpan of AKISAN Philadelphia, Mbong Ekiko of AKISAN San Diego, and Isong Ekpenyong of Metro Detroit chapter. And I'm going to assume that phone calls have started going out between the candidates and their campaign teams soliciting for your support. So for those who are not aware, these are the 3 people running. In case you hear the names or you get questions about them, I even put up their pictures, so if you see them somewhere, you know who they are. And apologies if I didn't get the correct one. I just Googled the pictures and put them on there. One thing I'd like to say, and this is based on my experience 3 years ago, is this whole thing of going dirty during campaigns. It was very bad 3 years ago, but I pray that that does not repeat itself again. As I always like to say, if someone calls you, whether on behalf of a candidate or they call you themselves, and they're not spending time telling you what they are going to do for the association, but rather they're bashing the other candidate, that person is not right for this association. We need to hear what you're going to do. And in particular, it's not just about continuing what a particular president is doing, but we want to hear brand new, fresh ideas. I'll be the first one to clap for the person if they go beyond what this administration has done. And that is the whole point. not to maintain a status quo or go backward, but to take us higher, because that's where we need to be. There was a time, I mean, in recent history where the credibility, reputation of this association, both at home and abroad, was very low. But gradually, I'm happy when people come up to me and said, because of what they're seeing now, that they have, decided to come back to the association. Some people have even told me that when I leave, they're going to leave the association. I tell them why. That you owe it to yourselves to make sure that whatever you say has been done well is continued and built upon. Again, that's the only way we're going to get better. So those are the people that are running. And on the next slide, I'm going to have a few points to make. This year, well, it happened last year, 2022, but it wasn't that noticeable because even though I ran for re-election, there was no challenger. But this year will be the first time that we're really put to the test. Whatever we learn here, we apply for the future. Election this year is going to be handled by an electoral committee. It's a standing committee. So it's not going to be, in the past, I've heard things like the national president controls the elections to move it in a certain direction. But this time around, no. It's 5 people in that committee, 2 people from the Council of Chapter Presidents appointed by that particular branch of the government, if you will, 1 person from the Board of Trustees appointed by the Board of Trustees, 1 person from the National Exco appointed by the Exco, and then among the members, they all pick 1 at-large member for a total of 5. The legal counsel is also a member of that committee, but it's more in a non-official, non-voting capacity. So everything from certifying candidates, certifying chapters, qualifying the candidates, setting up of debates, being a returning officer, counting votes, all that, it's all handled by this committee now. Another big change, and yes, I know as human beings, many of us do not like change, but it's something that we need, is we're moving from the delegate system, secret ballot of before, to an open ballot system. And for those who are not familiar with the association's history, let me explain a little bit about that. So before, this was prior to Atlanta 2021, we had a system where for every 25 registered members, you had 1 delegate for a max of 4 delegates. What does that mean? So even if you have 1,000 members or you have 101, you can't have more than 4 delegates. And then after the chapter voted internally, there are 4 delegates, and these 4, well, for example, it could be 1, 2, 3, or 4, now go and vote at the convention. And then it's a secret ballot. Well, at least from my experience, and I'm sure many of you would agree with this, there was a lot of corruption. Allegations of bribery and things like that, so that even though Chapter A voted for candidate A, the delegate could go and change their votes for candidate B, which is not a good thing, right? So when I was running for office and it has been implemented, I now said, let's go to 1 chapter, 1 vote. Will that end corruption? Probably not, but at least we mitigate it, right? And then the power is now more in the hands of the people. Because what happens is the candidates now have to spend more time convincing the people as opposed to a few delegates. And then on the election day for each chapter, there will be a member of the electoral committee who will be there, I guess, in my words, to observe these elections, record what is going on, to supervise. Once the election results are announced, the electoral committee has that. And then at the business convention come time for election, the chapter president or the representative will get up and publicly announce who the chapter votes for. And it's a big advantage because if your chapter voted for A and a member of the electoral committee was there, I guess unless you're looking for trouble from your chapter, you're not going to go and say, I vote for B for whatever reason. So we've moved again from a secret ballot system to an open ballot system. Again, I personally believe in continuous improvement. This will be our first test. We'll see how it goes. I'm very confident that there will not be any major problems, and then we'll tweak it as time goes along. But I think this is in the best interest of the organization. I know that one main argument has always been that, by going to 1 chapter, 1 vote, we lose a lot of money for the association. And for those who don't know, every chapter has to pay $5 per member. So if, for example, I'm from Atlanta chapter, we have 100 members, that's $500 extra going to the association. But now my chapter can now say, we have only 20 members, so they pay $100. That may be true, but again, I'm looking at the longer term, which is, do we cut down on this corruption? because it doesn't make sense again for a chapter to vote for A, but the delegate go and change their vote for whatever reason for B, for example. So those are like major changes coming down. Again, we've discussed this back in 2021, 2020. It was discussed at council meetings, presented to the business meeting, I think that Atlanta 2021. It passed. And again, 2022 was our first election under this new constitution, but because there were no challengers, we didn't really get to, I guess, monitor the effects of it. But this one here, August 2024, will be the main one. So, but I'm confident that at the end of the day, it will be fine. Let me see who is chatting. Okay, good job, Dana. Good job to the team, and she has to exit. So thanks for joining. Again, it's being recorded, so you can go back to listen to it afterwards. And then last but not least, I'd like to encourage everybody, especially in light of the amendments, to go to our website. If you go to our homepage, right below the scrolling pictures, there are 4 columns. I think 2 are orange in the middle, 2 are green at the end. And one of those orange ones says download our constitution. It's free of charge. Download it if you can, print it out, read it, get real familiar with it, especially the election part of it. Because again, this is going to be our first election coming up next year that is going to put this process to the test. So again, website is akisan.org. Go there, download our constitution, get familiar with the process, and we see how it goes. Any questions about the upcoming elections, the candidates, anything? Any questions? Mr. Samuel Essien, question, yes?
Mr. President, thank you for your excellent presentation. You used the word corruption.
Yes.
Unless, I know you said allegation, but unless you have grounds to seriously believe, I think you may wish to substitute malpractice or any other euphemism that may be preferable. But I think the word corruption is strong, and I have a concern about it going out.
Yes.
And I will reflect on this association. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I appreciate those comments. I did use the word allege, but if we want to say malpractice, that's fine. Bottom line is we need to improve upon our processes, and I hope what we're doing will add to that. But yes, well noted. Thank you. Madam Usarano has a question.
Yes, it's not a question, Mr. President. Okay. Following up with the last speaker, I think using the word corruption, if you had been in this association and see what was practiced, it wasn't just changing the vote to Mr. A or B. So many chapters were inflating the numbers on the election year. One year they will have 13. Election year they will have 75 or 80. So what can we call that? So for me, I'm in a line with you calling it corruption because it was so much well practiced. It wasn't funny. So 1 chapter, 1 vote is the best way to go for me. Whatever we were doing before, it wasn't the real thing because people inflated the numbers like nothing during election, only during election years.
Thank you. And yeah, that was something I forgot to mention. So under the old constitution, the year before election, I'm just saying Atlanta could have 10 members, but because they wanted more delegates, election year, 100. And yes, there was a way the constitution sort of dealt with that problem, which was we are going to examine your records for like the past year, and it can be more than 50% increase. But, let's face it, we did not always follow that, right? So yeah, that was always an issue as well. But yes, well noted, and I do appreciate that. Let's see how it goes, but I'm confident again that we're going to get rid of a lot of those issues that we had in the past for the betterment of the association.
Yeah, people used to call me to pay money for my people in my chapter, provided we align with them. We will pay the money for you guys, provided you guys accept to align with us. So that was not good.
Thank you. All right. Again, please download the constitution, get familiar with it. Any questions, pass them through your chapter president, call me, you get me best through WhatsApp, not through phone calls or text messages. So we'll move on to the next item, convention dynamics. All right, so on this one here is not to talk about what happened at the last convention. We did have a lessons learned. We do have that every convention. And the document has been compiled. We'll discuss it at the council meeting. And of course, like I said, build those into our continuous improvement process moving forward. The purpose is this is having conversations with various members, whether it was at San Diego or Charlotte or Atlanta. And it occurred to me that not many people realize or appreciate or even know what goes on, what goes into running a convention, or why we may do things the way we do. Not saying it's the best way, but I'm saying we do it because of that, right? Conventions are our main funding source. Yes, I would like for us to be in a situation, and I think we've started that, where we can start getting donations all year round, daily, monthly, weekly, whatever. But for now, it's the main funding source for the association. But we need to change that approach. We can't keep taxing ourselves, as I like to say, to death every time. Moreover, the people who started this organization, and we thank them for that, you know, they were maybe in their 30s, 20s at that time. Now they're approaching retirement. Their income is getting fixed. So we need, between reaching out to the younger generation, among other things, sponsorships, donations, to be able to do things such that we're able to get more funding to do the things that we need to do. One main issue or question I always get is, I'm not going to donate money anymore because I already paid my registration fee. And that registration fee is actually not a donation. It is to help us run the expenses of the organization. And that's why it's also very important that we get this money before the convention. Yes, we understand there might be extenuating circumstances. For example, I'm just saying maybe my job didn't let me take the days off, and then maybe the day before they said you could go. So now you go and register for the convention that day. We understand that. Maybe you have to take your kids to college because the time of our convention usually coincides with going back to college. But generally speaking, when we're dealing with hotels, they need numbers by a certain day so they can plan accordingly. We don't want to be in a situation where we plan for, I'm just saying, 1,000 people and only 500 people show up based on those who have paid their rates, or the vice versa. And I'll give a typical example. It's going to go into something else I'll talk about, but I'll bring it up here. In Charlotte last year, we had a situation where we started on time. We had planned for, I think it was maybe 700 people for the dinner that night. But because a lot of people decided to come late for that event, and the hotel had a 2-hour window, 300 plates of food were thrown out at $51 a plate. That's $15,000, right? That's money we could have saved and used for our projects, but that money was just thrown away because our people did not show up. Even though we started on time, but I'm saying a lot of people did not come on time, so we lost all that money. Another question I tend to get is, I'm just saying, again, there was not enough food, or whatever the case may be, but especially with respect to food. And again, I'm going to use this example here. San Diego, between the breakfast, so the National provides the breakfast and the dinner Friday, Saturday night. It costs, I believe, $250. I think Dr. Akwa is here. He probably knows the numbers better, but $250 per member. Yet, if you had registered early, because we had all these discounts, leading up to the convention, let's say you registered in January, you paid $80. So already short $170. Okay, let's forget about San Diego. Let's go to Charlotte. It was about $150. I know San Diego is an expensive city. But again, if you took advantage of the discount, $80 was still short $70, right? So we expect to make up this money from our donations, but what happens if we come up short? Again, hotels need numbers by a certain date. And when we get to that date, we have to make projections based on the people who have actually registered, not necessarily those who will register on that day. So if we're in a situation where, like I said, we run out of food, it's not on purpose. It's because of that planning. I think I would rather we run out of food and apologize than to have excess like we did in Charlotte, where we had to throw away food and lose so much money. A bunch of our money, I would even say 70–80%, goes to feeding at these conventions. And that leads to, something else, which is that, what works in one city may not necessarily work in another city, right? So what worked in San Diego may not work in New York. So we need to stop, at least in my opinion, and I did set up a committee to look at this and be presenting the recommendations in Miami, stop running conventions the way we've been doing it since 1987, if you want to put it that way, or even earlier, if you want to talk about Cross River or Southeastern Association. right? We have to be flexible, we have to be agile, because we're living in a society, especially with inflation, where what worked for A will not work for B. And speaking of inflation, the last time we raised our convention rates was, I believe, 2013, interestingly, in San Diego at a council meeting. We used to charge $75 a person at that time. We increased it to $100. That was 2013, and we still maintain that till today. If you check the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I believe that's what it's called, they will tell you that on average, inflation has risen 31% between 2013 and today. That means $100 of then is $131 now. So if you're a registered member, you see we're already losing money due to inflation. Food costs have gone up as well. And again, for those who do not know how this convention planning works, the hotel requires a minimum, what they call food and beverage, what we have to spend on food and drinks, so that, for example, we get the ballroom free and other concessions like other meeting rooms. So one of the items we looked at that committee level was reviewing the rates across the board in line with the cost of living. Again, all these numbers will be presented at the council meeting in Miami. And, whatever we decide to do, just know that it's not like we're trying to, again, times are hard, but, again, we are not going to conventions to make hotels rich. We're not going to conventions just to go and spend money. We're going to raise money. And the only way we can raise that money is if we have a net profit. So after everything we've made, you deduct the expenses, we have money left over to run the association. Another thing that we need to look at is the sponsorships. And I'm going to go into some numbers in the following slides. If we can get to a place where, I'm just saying, Lord willing, we're able to get in donations before the convention or sponsorships $100,000, then we just go there to have fun, and that's fine, right? But we can't just be on this model of taxing ourselves, the same group of people over and over, because in particular, like I said, and that's another discussion not for today, some of the younger generation are not that involved, especially monetarily, and then those of us in the older age brackets, we're approaching a time where our finances are getting limited, either because we are retiring or we now have families, we have children, and we cannot donate the way that we may have donated, I'm just saying, 10 to 20 years ago. So to put things in perspective, let me see, move this thing down. I came up with some numbers. So a bulk of our income comes from registration. It comes from tables and dance-ins, and then the ads and the booths. And I compiled these numbers based on online figures. In other words, if you make your payments online, these are the numbers that we have that are verifiable. Yes, some people make direct deposits into our bank account, but I'm very sure based on the trends that it's not going to change these numbers one way or the other. 2021, Atlanta, that was the first convention post-COVID, or I guess in the COVID era. And I think it's very essential that we note that, because a lot of people were arguing not to have a convention, a lot of concerns about getting COVID. But I felt because the vaccines had started getting developed at that time and people were getting vaccinated, and we could not afford, frankly, as an association, to go 2 years without a convention, we had to do it. In fact, the numbers there were higher than we had anticipated, talking about, for example, running out of food. So registration, we had about $18,000. Charlotte last year, $25,000. San Diego, about $33,000. So it's been trending up. More and more people are now registering online, which is what we want to see, because the more we get money online, the more the money is being accounted for properly. Tables and dance-ins. So Atlanta was about $5,300. In Charlotte was $4,600. Now, one of the lessons learned that we got from Charlotte was that there were so many dance-ins. It was taking away from the convention. People were angry and all that. Well, interestingly, we made a few tweaks, like, for example, limiting the time that people could dance in, but we made $10,000 in this San Diego convention. So I would argue that the dance-ins based on these numbers is something we need to continue. Now, do we add more controls around it? Sure. But I'm saying, look at the numbers. Numbers do not lie. And then with respect to convention ads and booklets, about 12,000 in Atlanta, 2021, 14,000 Charlotte, and then about 18,000 in San Diego. Again, all these numbers are trending up. Yes, the dance-ins dipped in Charlotte, but it rose back to almost double in San Diego this year. So these are verifiable And these are the trends we want to see. So in other words, come 2024 and beyond, I hope that we can build upon these numbers and get them even higher. Before I continue, I think Dr. Mrs. Comfort Ekpeyong of Dallas has a question. Yes, go ahead, madam.
No, sir, it's not a question. It's actually, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. It's not a question. It's actually a suggestion. And I am actually at Dr. Ibang Ikpe's sister-in-law's funeral service today. She's being buried today. But I did want to, chime in concerning, I share the same idea with you about going to a convention and having fun. So I looked into grant writing so that we can have the money, so we don't have to go through tasking our people to do that. And what the grant writers as a NP of ODU, newly elected, what they're telling me is that we have to do some things here, where the foundations and the people, the donors here can look at what we're doing locally here in the United States. I know we do a lot in Nigeria. So is there a way that we can actually do so much more here? That way that stats can be used for grant writing for further convention planning, sir.
Yes, a very good question. And for those who don't know, Dr. Mrs. Ekpeyong is the, I guess, chair of, I'm going to call Ad and Booths Committee. You see the numbers speak for themselves, so thanks for your efforts in that regard. Yes, with respect to doing things here in America, for those who don't know, membership in AKISAN is chapter-based. So I think we had this discussion maybe 2014 or 15 where the national had said, let us take, for the purpose of grant writing and all that, take the accomplishments of all the chapters and present it as a national accomplishment, if you will, and then present it to these people who will more likely give us money based on a collective as opposed to chapters individually. I think another thing we tried to do at the national level, which we've stopped, unfortunately, was every time we had a council meeting, as a national, we tried to do something in each of those host cities, whether it was like feeding the hungry or clothing the hungry or, whatever the case may be.
Medical mission.
Medical missions in those specific cities, exactly. So we got up very early, but I think the main issue was that because we did this thing on Saturday morning, we didn't have enough time to get back to the hotel room and prepare for a council meeting. And then the council meeting would drag till late in the evening. So I think that's why we stopped. But maybe this is a discussion we need to have again at the next business meeting. That's next year, where again, national is not trying to claim all your accomplishments, but for the purpose of the grant writing, and maybe we have, again, this is just a suggestion, revenue sharing formula where we say if the national is able to get these things using your chapter's accomplishments, then maybe we can split some of the proceeds with you, because yes, we need to, again, get away from taxing ourselves every time. Professor Kevin Ita has his hand up. AKISAN,
yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
That discussion a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to continue that discussion a little bit about what AKISAN does here in the United States. So in terms of applying for grants, when they require evidence of what you've done here, one of the things we can actually do is that either the national or individual chapters can make contributions, charitable contributions to institutions like the St. Jude's Hospital or Salvation Army or the Red Cross, something that can be documented. Yes, it's nice to go out in the morning and visit sick people and maybe give food at the food bank, but it's not documented in terms of dollars and cents. And what they want to see is that you're actually spending, as a non-profit organization, you're actually spending part of your money on charitable causes here in the United States of America. That way, when you now apply to companies like Amazon and
Thank you very much for those comments. And to your point, I know, speaking for myself, when I came in, I spent probably the first 3 months. Atlanta, as you may know, has a lot of international headquarters, like from Home Depot, Coke, Coca-Cola, that is, among other UPS, Delta Airlines. And I reached out to every one of them, and the first question they always had is, what are you doing here? And that's where we always got choked up. So again, I think we need to revive that conversation. National on its own, because it's a collective of chapters, not direct members. We need to look at how we can hopefully again claim, or maybe we put it in our budget as a national. Every year we pick one charity, whether we want to do that every single time or we spread it out and we donate specifically to those charities, so that, like Professor Ita said, we can pull it up. They can also go check on their records that, hey, they donated to Red Cross or whatever organization that may be. Thank you, Dr. Akwa. Okay, thank you. I got your comment, Dr. Akwa. So again, these are the numbers. Past 3 years, unfortunately, we did not have the system, and that's another thing this administration has done. We try to digitize as much as possible, because again, once the computer says you made $100, you cannot come back and say $50, right? So this system was implemented 3 years ago. Hopefully it's something future administrations will continue, so that you can get numbers just like this. And then for those who like pictorial evidence, people who are visually inclined, again, these are the numbers. Blue is 2021, red or brick red is 2022, and the grayish color is 2023. As you can see, 2021, 2023, the numbers trending upwards. In 2022, the table reservation sort of dipped a little bit, but then it went back up in 2023. And I'm sure all of us will agree when I say that we need to be trending upwards as time goes on. So again, thanks to everyone who has made this possible. It's not anything I've done. Without your support, we wouldn't get to be where we are. Oops, sorry. Now, I did mention sponsorships. Back in 2021, it was kind of difficult, I think partially because of COVID. So we're not able to raise anything. 2022, leading up to Charlotte Convention, we were able to raise $15,000 before convention. The emphasis is before. So not on convention night, but before the convention, $15,000. This year, San Diego, we raised almost $30,000. That's like 100% increase, right? So let's pray that if we want to use these trends for 2024, sponsorships get to 60,000, right? If we can get more and more people to sponsor things, for those who do not know, all those like lunch, the meals, a lot of things that we did were all sponsorships. Association did not come up with, call it $30,000 equivalent in expenses. So this is what we want to see. If this is something we can concentrate on, again, it doesn't necessarily have to come from a Ibom. It can come from a Chinese person, from Nigeria, and from, I don't care. As long as it's legitimate money and, again, everything is transparent, this is the way we need to go. So 2024, let's see what we can do. And then beginning with the new presidents, hopefully they take us even higher so that we do not have to go there, especially like those of us from the East who went to San Diego. We spent all that money on plane ticket, hotel, and then, few of us were able to maybe donate a little extra, which is understood because of the expense. But the same way the West Coasters come to the East Coast, so it balances out. But again, the emphasis was to show you the numbers. Again, they don't lie because all these were tracked electronically. Any donation we got was passed through the website for accurate record keeping. So let us continue this trend, please. Any comments with respect to conventions? I know, excuse me, if you don't mind, I'd like excuse me, after Mr. Samuel Essien, I don't know if the chair of this last convention, Engineer Kiko, is on, because there was something he wanted to say relative to the convention, because he was the one in the thick of things. So Mr. Samuel Essien first, and then Engineer Kiko, convention chair of the last convention. Mr. Essien?
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations to you and the last chapter that hosted, or the chapter that hosted the last convention, or the successful convention. Mr. President, I just have a question before I comment. Was there any communique? Was any communique issued for that last convention?
No, and I do apologize for that. It's something, yes, having done 3 conventions, I did say we were going to do, but it escaped my memory. So, but beginning with 2024, that will not be the case.
Okay, sir. I ask because I had made this comment before. It's just a suggestion, something for you to consider. Even though you had given assurances in the past that you may consider setting up a committee to handle communique. The reason I say so is this: you spoke extensively on numbers, but you have to go back to the objectives and goals of the organization. Partnering with the state government on a couple of issues are vital, because people may not see what you're telling us, which is good performance as far as numbers and dollars are concerned. There's a gentleman who said that he was paid by his association to come to AKISAN event to give a lecture. At the end, AKISAN forgot that he was in the room, and he ended up not. And he suggested we change the name to Jamboree. Because you see, communicate does a lot of things. It sends out, you are not only sending it to universities, libraries across the world, you are sending it to the state government. So there's that aspect we should never forget. What was the substance? What were the substantive issues discussed? Because all these other things are atmospherics. Or the only way you could make impact is that powerful statement you send out to the world, or what that conclusion, each convention attend. I spent 2 months in Akwa Ibom, and I can tell you a lot of ways we could have intervened. And that is what message we need to send to the state government. I've listened to the others, governor, including what they think. But we are not making impact by going to all these festivals in Akwa Ibom and coming back, governor coming. No, we have to re-examine what direction this our convention has to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Before I hand over to Engineer Kiko and Mr. Clitus, I see your hand. Thank you for those comments. And if you don't mind, I'm going to nominate you into that. I don't know if it's going to be called Communique Committee, but you get my point. I would like for you to be on there with some other people, but we'll talk about that offline.
I'm retired, sir.
We'll get you out of retirement. All right, Engineer Kiko, are you on? You said you had a few words to say to the people.
Mr. President, you can be an advisor.
Could you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. President, and for the opportunity. For those who don't know me, Engineer Dr. Dumbo and Kiko, the most recent Convention Planning Committee chair. Did want to take the opportunity to really thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Mr. President, the escrow board, the Council of Chapter Presidents, and all the general membership on the call. Really delighted on behalf of San Diego to all the support we got in the recent convention. You know, our goal, among other things, was to offer that family vacation experience for our community. And in all look of things, we had a lot of folks still going on the beautiful boat rides and doing a lot of sightseeing. Even our First Lady came in early and stayed late. I think she was the last to leave the city of San Diego. So thank you so much for all the support. It was really an honor to host everybody. As you know, the event sold out. We sold out in February, March of 23 for an event that was happening in October, over 1,000 rooms. And Mr. President just noted the sponsorship. You know, that was really helpful. San Diego, like some other cities, is an expensive environment. It's a vacation environment, and the sponsorship really helped. You know, even 30,000 was even more than the state government. So for the first time, our folks donated and sponsored. You know, I reflect on the individual who in Seattle, we don't have an AKISAN association in Seattle, but donated $2,500, sponsored rather $2,500 that was used for the first ever Technology and Innovation Summit that we had. You know, the equipment, the Oculus virtual reality headsets, the laptops. The individual in Alabama who called us and said, "Hey, I can't make it. I won't be out there. We don't have a chapter in Alabama, but they sponsored." So we saw a lot of interest like that to help really drive that convention. So one thing I'd like to offer to this team is, as the president noted, our single largest production area in our association is that national convention. It's also, at least currently, the largest funding intake to be able to execute our projects. So I encourage folks to continue to help support and donate and contribute to the convention. So just want to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the overwhelming support. And with that, Mr. President, back over to you. Thank you for the opportunity to say thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. And as I told you right after that convention, and in fact, anyone who has been privileged to be a convention chair, even without taking certification classes, you are now a certified event planner. Many people do not appreciate what goes on to planning. We meet weekly, sometimes between different subcommittees, almost every day, for free, I might add, for us to see what we see at those conventions. So it's a baptism by fire, but I'm saying you get that experience, and hopefully, we get better over time. Mr. Cletus Udor, Katy, Texas.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. President. No doubt, a whole lot goes into planning of the convention, and I don't know if we have really had time to thank every single person that went in, sacrificed, committed their time and money to make this happen. I want to, in the same vein, thank the Convention Planning Committee Chair, Engineer Dr. Tombo Kiko. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank Mr. Michael Etzman and his sister that single-handedly took care of the registration. But I have a few, suggestions and recommendations following Honorable Essien's recommendation as far as communique is concerned. The presentation that we have to give to the world is super important to be able to tell the story of our accomplishments and of who we are, the scope of what we do as an organization. The second part of that would be an opportunity for all other members of the association to get to also hear the same story of the accomplishment of AKISAN. We heard of the comment that was made during the presentation of the scholarship back home, which made some of our young men and women in Nigeria to begin to have that confidence in what we do as AKISAN in the United States. And at the same time, there are so many of our people here in this country who does not really have a clear vision of what we do, because unfortunately, the stories that they have heard has not been very, very empowering and supportive or inspiring for them. And so I would recommend, in line with the communique, that we also have some form of an opportunity that we can use to present to all the attendees at the convention to tell the story of our accomplishment in the previous year. And then tie that story of our accomplishment, be it in the form of a projector, information or report of the previous year's activities of AKISAN, so that those who are not privileged to be at this meeting, but come to the convention, have the opportunity to listen to what AKISAN has accomplished in the previous year, and then tie in the fundraiser to that accomplishment, so that when we ask people for money, they see, okay, last year, this is what we did. And sitting here listening to your report, there is no doubt in our minds, every single person in this call this morning, that AKISAN did accomplish a whole lot in the past year. If there is a way we can package this story, put it in a projector for at least 10 to 15 minutes, and put it in as part of our operation in the next convention, so that every attendee will hear us tell the story of our accomplishment of AKISAN in the previous year. This I believe it's one of those things that will continue to make those that attend our convention to walk back home with positive messaging, positive, encouraging information that will help them to come back into their go back into their different chapters and campaign for membership into AKISAN to continue to spread the good stories of what we have accomplished as an organization. Those are my recommendations and suggestions. And there are so many other things that we could do to be able to attract more and active, spirited involvement in our organization as AKISAN.
Thank you very much. And interestingly, so the video concept you mentioned is actually something that I already wanted to do. It was done in 2021, but based on feedback, the video, it was 8 minutes, but people said it was too long. So we didn't do it in 2022 or 2023, but I do intend to have one to encapsulate everything that has been accomplished in the last 3 years or coming up to 4 years at that time. So yeah, because when people right? So when you actually get to see, just like the scholarship thing, we streamed it live, you know, it's more touching, it's more motivating, more inspiring for you to want to put your money into things that that we are doing. So thank you very much for those comments. So let me see here. We'll go on to the next topic, and we started at about 15 after 11 o'clock Eastern. We're going to spend no more than 2 hours here. We've actually come to the end of the roadshow for this time. Just in summary, I just wanted to maybe to bring it back home, if you will. This is the 21st century. We need to not do things the way we used to do before. You know, we need to be agile. We need to be flexible. We need to adapt to the situation at hand. It's not just about us. It's about our children coming up. We need to focus more on external fundraising and sponsorships based on those numbers. I think it's self-explanatory. Going back to something Mr. Kletusudo had said, it's amazing. I mean, with all the publicity we're doing online, I mean, every time I go home, I try to do at least between TV interview, radio interview, newspaper interview, but there's still people who have not heard about AKISAN. So that tells me that despite our best efforts, there's still work that needs to be done, not only in Akwa Ibom State, but in America as well. So again, I think this administration has taken it up to a certain level. I pray that the next administrations, not just the next one, but the next 10 administrations, take it even higher so that it becomes truly a household name. And I thank God for the fact that we have this name AKISAN, which is a brand. So we're not always having to explain. Of course, when I talk about it, I explain what it means first before the brand, but I'm saying, you know, AKISAN needs to be like the gospel worldwide, not just between America and Akwa Ibom State. Also, I mentioned this at the beginning, but for those who had missed it, yes, it's being recorded, but in case you don't go back to it, we need to have this concept of leading without titles. Just because you're not a president or a board chair or committee member, don't just keep your ideas to yourself. Don't be like that biblical person who the master had given him one talent and the person was too afraid to use it, whereas the one with 5 and 2 doubled theirs, right? So don't wait to be in a position of authority to get things done. If there's something that needs to be done, if you can't do it yourself, talk to your chapter president, talk to us at the national level, and worst case, we agree to disagree. And on that note, there's a book that I'm reading currently. It's called The Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma. And that's where I got this idea. I encourage everyone to get the book and read it if you've not read it already, and it will change your mind towards that the concept of leadership. Again, don't wait to be put in a position of authority. And it's not just in AKISAN, whether it's at work, your church, your home, whatever, wherever you are. I bet you can make even more impact without that title. So give the book a try, and maybe you can call me to let me know what you think. And then last but not least, let me see if there are any comments here. 1 second. Well, 1 second. This Mr. Naudo of AKISAN New York likes to refer to AKISAN USA as a project. And to me, it reminds me of saying America, the country America is a concept, it's an experiment. So when you put it in that way, that makes you realize and think in terms of how to make it better. So this thing is a team effort. Yes, there's a national president, there are other leaders, but going back to the whole leading without titles concept, it is a group effort. I think JFK once said, ask not what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. So likewise, what can you do for AKISAN? Let's make it better over time. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this presentation today. There will be another one.
Mr. President, can you give me a minute, please, if you don't mind?
Okay, go ahead.
This is the Moy song
Yes.
from Tampa chapter.
Yes, sir.
I know this is partly my duty to the position, other than thanking everybody for what we've done, which we've spent a whole lot of time doing that, and rightfully so. I would like to take a minute to talk about our association life insurance. Is that okay, Mr. President?
Okay, yeah, I use about maybe 3 minutes or so. That's fine. It's something that we promoted about 3 years ago.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you all noticed, we're losing people up and down every day. You're getting news here, even people we don't know. But the association took the time to set up a life insurance program for our members, for our association. But the activities is not really moving the way that it should be. And with what we've done so far, even at the other meetings, at the national level and at the conventions, you know, the website has all the information on that. But I would employ all the people on this forum, all the chapter presidents to reach, you know, to be bringing this up at their individual chapter meetings, that we should take the time to make sure we get ourselves protected, because all these ideas of, you know, looking for other ways or being a burden on other people is not a good idea. The program is there. Go to the website, search the life insurance program, apply for a quote, request a quote from any of us, and get yourselves protected and your family. You can insure yourselves. I don't know if you all know, you know, it's good to get it when you're younger. So you got to do something. If you don't have it, do something now. Don't wait for later. It costs you less now than it's going to cost you later. I think, I mean, if you have any questions or anything about it, our number's on the website. My number is on the website. My website is there. Just reach out and get a quote and see what happens. Okay, and I think that's enough said about that. But I just want all of us to encourage everybody, our members, to try to get themselves protected and their families. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. And to your point, yeah, when I ran for office, I borrowed this from my chapter Atlanta, where, yes, it's very important that we have these life insurance policies. I'm not saying don't get it through AKISAN, but if not, get it anyway. If you go to the website, search for insurance, there's a page on this, and there's about, I think, 3 people, AKISAN members who are insurance agents who you can talk to. So don't feel obligated to sign up with any one person, right? And if we have more, because variety is good, you know, we'll put them on the website. But for now, we have 3 people's names and numbers on there. So again, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your families, your descendants, to be protected. Again, whether you go through these people, which of course is, you know, one thing I'd like you to support Akwa Ibom businesses, or you go through somewhere else. But bottom line, get it done. I think at some point I'll get the total numbers for, you know, from everybody to see how it's going. But yes, that's very important. Give me 1 second. Let's see, I think that will take a time.
No,
Okay, so
Mr.
Madam
President.
Yes, is that Dr. Ekwan?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, 1 second. At the beginning of the meeting, you have you mentioned that the current event. Mbok ikadi I hope very welcome the life insurance thing has already been said. I don't have to repeat that. My thing is this: I am not actually looking for Akwa Ibom people or Nigerian people to buy insurance with me. Done it for 31 years, but for God's sake, there's nothing like it. Nothing. Get up, go to whoever you do business with, get something. On that note, one of our nice president, Mondefia, passed away. I want to give a little kudos to the national president. Last year, looking at his financial status, I reached out to the president, the vice president, and they make it possible. You know, I'm not going to say I make it possible. They make it possible for Mandafia and his family to attend the convention in Charlotte pro bono. From the love that the president have after I've shared his health condition, the president reached out and we were able to make that happen for him. However, for those of you that know Mandafia, he was a kind, simple-hearted president that passed away. The chapter has arranged for his farewell farewell event on November 10th. So if you are around or if you want to participate or however you want to do, reach out. Mandafia was a damn good AKISAN national president in his days. And it was simple, one simple man. So reach out to Thibodeau, is the chapter president there. And anything that you can do to assist, it will be very helpful. And secondly, part of the event, 2 weeks from today, the Itu people worldwide for the first time will have their inaugural meeting in Detroit, Michigan. What Itu have done with a very few people, I've sent the pictures to all of you. We have built a 110 dormitory to girls, young girls in Itam Secondary School. So we will need your help, just like I have helped, I believe, all 40 people in this forum listening to me. If I have not helped you or your chapter in some way, something is wrong. So I need your help. May the Lord of heaven bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, the chairman of the convention in San Diego. Thank you, my namesake, and all of you. On that note, please help the two people, and I'm out.
Thank you, sir. So again, yes, good job that you guys are doing it to Development Association. Reach out to them, support them on other, I call them subgroups of Akwa Ibom State. In particular, and I did not mention this at the beginning, I do apologize. Mr. Mandafia did pass away a month or two ago. For those who don't know, he was the 14th national president of this association. If you want a list of all our national presidents, go to our website under the About. There's a link that says former national presidents, and you get the list from number 1 to current day. But our prayers do go out to the family. I did send a letter of condolence. The welfare committee headed by Madam Vice President sent out, there's usually a gift that we give to families of members when their members pass away. If you're able to attend or you're in that area, November 10th, please show up for the funeral. Even though I know officially he's going to be sent back home. Give me 1 second. Let me mute the line. All right, cool. So may his soul rest in peace, and may his memory forever be a blessing. He did good things for the association when he was alive, and so let's keep him in our prayers. So again, thank you for attending today's roadshow. It's going to be recorded. His record is going to be uploaded to YouTube for the future. You can reach us at any time through any of these avenues here on the screen: website, email, phone number, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We welcome all your comments, all your feedback. Again, worst case, as I like to say, we agree to disagree, but everything you say, we take dear to our heart, and we will implement as many as possible. For those who are coming to Miami, we look forward to seeing you there November 18th. And for those who are running for office, best of luck to you. But remember, your job is not to take us backwards or to maintain the status quo, but to take us even further so that even more people can be inspired by this association, want to join and make it even better. So thank you very much, and may God bless you all and have a blessed remainder of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Bye-bye.
President.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Honorable President. Greetings from
the
Mr.
nation's
President,
capital.
who got a message? I sent you a private message. You didn't read it.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was nice to meet you the first time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everyone, please book your flight, book your room to Miami.
Dr.
Miami is too hot. I'm not coming.
Oh, please.
No, this is a good time.
Well,
This is a good time
This
for
is,
Miami.
don't worry, I'm coming. It's gonna be beautiful. So I see you there.
I was in Windsor,
Support
Canada
us.
last Saturday. Windsor, I want to go to Windsor, Canada. It's nice and cool over there. Miami, mucho caliente in Miami. No me gusta.
No ahora, sir.
Dr. Kwang, you know you have to be there.
No, don't worry.
He's chat in there, please send it to me privately. I apologize, I did not see them. Send them to me, please.
President.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Please book your rooms. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, I'll be signing off in a few seconds, but thank you very much.
Bye, Honorable.
Bye-bye.